has over a decade of experience healing trauma. He's here to share insights on overcoming the inner barriers to success. Please welcome TJ Singh. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Daniel. I do deeply appreciate that you made time for me to be on the podcast.
It's always a pleasure. I was just having a look at the picture behind you of your blue tree,
Oh
and
yeah.
reminded me of when I got married. I got married twice to the same woman. We got married in Dubai, we got married in Australia, then we got married again in Taiwan, just to make sure it was really legal all around the world. And I decided that at our wedding, I wanted to have some things that are a little bit different. So I flew to Bangkok and I got this big sheet of paper and I had an artist draw a trunk of a tree like you've got there. And it branched out into all these branches, but it had no leaves on it. And I had them paint that. And then I brought that back to Australia for our wedding. And for all of our guests, when they arrived, I asked them to take their thumb, to dip it in a different color green paint, and put their thumb print on one of the branches of the tree. And eventually, by all the
Creative.
guests
I like that.
had come through and they put their thumbprints there, it created all the leaves on the family tree. And I look at that and it just brings back so many wonderful memories.
Oh wow. No, I love that story. It's kind of cool that you had got creative with like the thumbprints and putting everybody's there. I actually wanted to do something similar with starfishes and like have a tree, but have each client represent like starfishes I've worked with and everything. So that's kind of cool that you kind of were able to put that together. I mean, what did your wife think afterwards?
Well, she's probably too pragmatic. She probably rolled it up and said that's too romantic. So it's probably sitting in a storage spot back in Australia. I'll have to ask my mother where it is.
Love that for you. It's actually kind of amazing. I love that. It's a cute little story of like how much love you have for your relationship.
I think there's so many relationships today that start and stop. And I think when we look at relationships, it's really easy to get into a relationship. It's really easy to get out of a relationship, but it's very challenging to stay in a relationship. And what I've learned over the years is you've got to love your partner, but you've also got to like them. And with likingness comes respect. And as long as you respect your partner, I believe you can get through any crisis. Love, I think what happens for me is we have more and less love for our partner along the way. And what I've noticed is that after two children and watching my wife become a mother, and while she's starting to do her Masters of Psychology, I find so many more reasons to be in love with her. And we need both of those to be able to maintain the relationship. But if the love's lost and the like's lost, the relationship finishes off pretty quick too. That's how I see it.
No, that makes sense. It's interesting. So one of the type of clients I work with is high conflict couples clients. A lot of the issues they come in with this like severe arguing, severe like fighting. Conflict has gotten to the point where they're like at the ends of their ropes. And there's something you said that's kind of interesting, where you said, love is easy to get into, easy to get out to, but like it's hard to like, when you're in it. It's what I've noticed is actually kind of a little bit different. It's easy, it's hard to get out of it. It's easy to get into it. It's difficult to like get yourself once you're in it. Does that kind of make sense? Like people, yes, it's easy to say I want to break up, but to get to that point to say those words, it's like a challenge for people. I've worked with so many clients who know this relationship has is abusive, who understand and talk about the resentment they feel towards their partner. I have clients who talk about they don't want to be in this relationship, but when I start to like validate that concern, another side of them comes out, a protective. Well, no. The problem is not that. It's like he's working on it though, but he's gonna get better. Isn't that what he told you 3, 5 months ago? That it was gonna get better. Yeah, but he did change. Was it consistent? No, but he made another. It wasn't consistent change because there's a part of them, whatever their issue is, whatever it's individual, that comes out within the relationship. It bleeds into the relationship. Because when
Mm.
I'm working as a couples therapist, my client isn't the individuals, it's the relationship itself. What's harming this relationship? What's causing it to keep bleeding and causing all these issues? Oftentimes, people get stuck. It develops codependency. Well, I invested so much time into this relationship. Well, this is all I know now. This is a part of my identity. And it doesn't have to be. So that's kind of interesting because, like, I've noticed how many people would jump into something easily, tell themselves they're going to leave, like, they're so easy, but then continue this pattern of like being in something negative. Does that kind of make sense?
The jumping into it, we had a mate when I was growing up, and he wasn't a serial killer, but he was a serial dater.
Oh,
And he went from girlfriend to girlfriend to girlfriend. And me and my mates are watching the first relationship. He gets into it really quick. He's in love. This is the love of my life. And she's all these wonderful things. And then as soon as you know it, they're breaking up. And he's heartbroken and he's devastated and he's grieving. And your heart starts to bleed for your mate. You think, you poor bugger, you must have got really hurt.
yeah.
And then right in the middle of that crisis, the next day he announces he's in a new relationship and he's found somebody else that's the love of his life, and the story repeats. And then a couple of months later, they're breaking up and he's back into the grieving process. He's into the pit of despair, and all of our hearts are bleeding once again. And we're on that journey, and all of a sudden, just as we're at the pit of despair with him, he announces his next relationship. So
Mm-hmm.
we're watching this over the years, and we're like, this guy's a serial dater. And our hearts stopped bleeding because we started to notice that these girls who were breaking up, and they were always the bad guy because they left him, they started to find different partners. They would get engaged and they'd get married and they'd have these wonderful relationships. And the boys sat down and said, maybe there was nothing wrong with the girls.
Hmm.
Maybe there was something within him. And we
Yeah.
watched it for 15 years, just the same pattern over and over and again. And
Hmm.
he was very good at getting into the relationships. He got it. Somebody kicked him out, but he couldn't maintain it. It's fascinating. But I think in a relationship, as much as you're learning about other people, you learn so much about yourself. You learn about your likes and your dislikes. You learn about what you will and what you won't tolerate. You learn if you have boundaries or no boundaries. And when you've got no boundaries and somebody's treading on your toes and you don't know what to do about it, you got to quickly figure it out, especially if the relationship's one that you want to keep.
No, I definitely agree with you. You do learn a lot about yourself in a relationship because a lot of relationships test how you are as a person. Who are you when there's always someone around? Who are you when this is someone that, is showing you something that maybe you never experienced before? That's one thing I've noticed with a lot of my clients is a duality to their relationship. They're always searching for something they're missing within themselves in their partner. I see people, one who's overly orderly, one who's overly chaotic, one who's good with their emotions, and one who's good with their thoughts. It's like this always duality, push and pull. I mean, my partner and me, like, I have ADHD. I'm very chaotic. Like, I have a sense of fire and expression in me. I use it a lot in my sessions. My partner, she's more orderly. She's more like water. She flows calmly. And on paper, like, she's a physical therapist. I'm a mental therapist. It was like, it's on paper we shouldn't work, but we do, because at the end of the day, the things that would normally upset people, I cherish them. I want her to nag me because here's how humans learn about the other's boundaries and patterns: repetition, being consistently bothered by it. You're learning, oh, this person really doesn't like this. It's, I hate to say this, but it's kind of like Pavlov's dogs, where you are like conditioning them to salivate when you hear the bell. Hey, I know she doesn't like me bringing shoes in the house. She's bugged me so many times. I'm starting to take my shoes off now and not wear them in the house because I don't want to hear the nagging. So conditioning is kind of working. That's what I've learned, is that lessons are created by the thing that frustrates you the most, because it's that repetition, consistency of learning about each other. In the beginning, it's never easy. It's never easy. But over time, you go from romantic love to companionship love. And that's something I really try to help my clients with. It's build that companionship love.
When you were younger, what did you learn about relationships when you were growing up and watching your family and you're watching the people in your community? What were some of those early lessons?
The love is meant to hurt. So here's the thing about me. Part of my therapy work, I combine my lived experiences and my clinical knowledge. It's a mixture of what I've went through and a mixture of what I've learned, knowledge and experience. I grew up in a very, let's say, not a really good household, and there was a lot of like bad lessons taught about relationships. I never had a good relationship with my parents. They never taught me what love was supposed to be because my parents got arranged marriage. They met like a week before they got married. And then in 2 years, they were in a different country together. Like they didn't really know each other. They were learning each other, but they had a kid who was watching them learn themselves. And the message that stuck with me was love is supposed to hurt. Love is supposed to, like, if someone loves you, you should be okay with them hurting you. And I took that into my relationships as an adult. I had my last relationship before my current partner became very abusive, very hard. We ended up in, I became the worst person of myself because the lessons from my childhood followed me. Oh, this is normal. We're supposed to hurt each other. This is what my parents taught me. Even through it wasn't conscious, it was unconscious, the core belief was there. And it wasn't until I left that relationship and really integrated and worked on myself where I look back and go, no, love is not meant to hurt you. Someone that loves you wouldn't come and attack you. They want to help you and support you like you want to do to them. And that was something I had to really let go of, if that makes sense.
Mm. There's no one way to have a relationship. Arranged marriages, there's marriages here in Taiwan for convenience. And it's absolute convenience and everybody knows it. Even here in Taiwan, we have a culture of having what's called a shao sun. And it's very common for a man to have his wife and then another girlfriend on the side. Very common, but also acceptable. And some children here grow up with families with one mum, but the dad's girlfriend on the side.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, shao sun, the third wheel. And it happens here. We're in Australia. I'd never heard of that concept before, but here it's quite common.
That's the thing about like marriages of different cultures. It's kind of like how different species of animals have different forms of, like, clownfishes are more hermaphrodites, where if there's no more males or there's not a lead female, a male will turn into a female. It's kind of like how different cultures have different styles of wedding, what marriage looks like. I mean, the idea of marriage started like the white white wedding gown started in medieval England, where there was Queen Elizabeth or one of the big queens wore like a white wedding gown, and people loved it, and it became like a symbol of marriage. And so it's interesting to see how much culture and like over time tradition has changed, where it's normalized in one area, other people see it differently. It's same thing with like family dynamics. There's families I worked where the dynamics they have that's normal to them make no sense to me because I didn't grow up in that environment. When you look at like weddings and marriages and relationships, you are completely right. Every relationship is different. What works for me may not work for you. And that's something I always tell my clients is that, hey, how I do this is what works for us. May not work for you, but so you have to figure out what will work for both of you. Stop trying to negotiate and start to collaborate together because you both have strengths and you both have areas of improvement. If that makes sense.
I got married in Dubai, and Dubai is an Islamic country. And I say to my wife, I say, just remember, I own you. You're my property. And the blood goes up through the neck, through the cheeks of the face. She says, I am not your property. I don't own you. And I said, you do. I said, I've got a certificate. She said, that's not an ownership certificate. I said, well, in my mind, it is. And I said, that ring on your finger, I said, that also means that you're taken. It's a symbol of ownership. And she says, why don't you wear yours? And I said, because nobody owns me.
I love that. I love that. Amen to that. It's like even that, like symbolism of like, so one thing I've noticed is that when people get married, their issues increase. It feels like the symbol, like people think, well, it's just a marriage, like it was just a party, a ceremony, it's whatever. But it's a symbolism your brain takes from it. If that makes sense. Like the symbolism of, hey, this means a big thing that we are now locked in. This is our story now, and that increases
to death till we part.
Yes, and that increases the insecurities in us. This is my partner forever, so now they must always be there. And it's like, well, there's also divorce. That's still possible, but a lot of cultures frown upon that. Divorce is heavily like negatively looked at, but then there's more issues within negative and unhealthy relationship because they're too afraid to get divorced because of shame, because of culture. But what will people say? That's always like the word.
Well, that's what I say to my wife. I say, you're married. You can't divorce me. It's too late. You said it at the wedding, for better or for worse, to death do we part. And that's the symbolic nature. And also talking about shame, here in our communities in Taiwan, we still have a village crier, a town crier. And so for each city that we live in, the population density is huge. It's like 18,000 people per head of per square kilometre. A lot of people. And each little community has a town crier, and they make announcements. And one of the announcements they make is about births, deaths, and marriages. And if there's a divorce, they'll broadcast it over the loudspeaker.
Wow.
And one of our friends who's a television show anchor here, she's been divorced or separated from a partner, but she refuses to submit the paperwork because the paperwork has to go through the village crier, and she doesn't want all the tens of thousands of people in her area to know that she's no longer married. So she's delaying it because of the culture. And so I threaten my wife. I say, if you leave me, I'll have the announcement made.
I'm surprised you are.
And to some
alive.
people, it's
how are you still alive after saying that to your wife?
Well, we had a really good one recently. In our cultures here in Taiwan, before you get married, what the parents will do, they'll take your name, your date of birth, the location where you were born. They'll take that information to the master, and then he'll compare your birth chart with their daughter or their son's birth chart. And they'll look at numerology, and they'll say these numbers match or not. And so if they look at the numbers and they're not a match, the family will say this is not going to be good luck for either families. And partners will separate based on the numbers. But if the numbers are right, they'll say this is going to bring good luck to our families and we should get married because of the numbers. So we always visit masters and psychics, and they do different types of work, and masters and psychics have a different meaning in this culture. It's not something mystical. Nobody's sitting there with a crystal ball. It's numerology. It's an old science that's existed for 4,000 or 5,000 years in this part of the world, and people take it really serious. And we went and saw our master recently, and he was doing a reading for my wife's birth chart and helping her understand the challenges that would be coming up for her in the next couple of years. So she's now 47 this year. And he said to her, at age 50, you're going to be very successful. Your talent is going to be exposed. You're going to have a lot of focus on you, and a lot of men are going to come and chase you. So you have to be very careful that at age 50, you might have an affair. And so that was his message to her. Anyway, she translated that, told me in English, and I said, that's okay, that's not a problem. And I said to her last night, I said, when we do our next live event, and there's hundreds of people at the event, I'm going to wear a shirt with your face on my shirt, and I'm going to write on this, don't talk to her. She might have an affair this year. And I said, on the posters, I'm going to put your face everywhere and say, don't talk to her. She might have an affair this year.
I love the
And those things you got to be able to have fun with. And I think as long as you're laughing in a relationship, if you're laughing a lot, I think that's a sign of a healthy relationship. But if the laughter goes and you can't, play and tease, you got to reconsider what's going on.
Why do you think people in and I can only really talk about America in my experience, why do you think people have struggle so strongly within relationships nowadays? What have you noticed, in your experience, where the struggle and why people often choose divorce over working throughout their differences? What have you noticed?
Probably what I've noticed is that people get married too young. And when I say too young, it's more about an emotional maturity. I've studied the science of emotional intelligence for many years. And the first pillar of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. And it's understanding why you think and feel the way that you do. It's about understanding your preferences and what you want to achieve in your life. And for me personally, I got married at maybe around about 30, and I even felt I was too young at 30, simply because I didn't know myself well enough. But for the people that I know who were getting married in their late teens or early 20s, I felt once they got into the relationship and learned and matured, they started to realize that the person they chose was a lovely person. It was just not the right person for them because they didn't know enough about themselves. They hadn't dated enough different people to discover what they like and don't like. It's kind of like business. The average person today the average young person is going to have 40 different jobs throughout their life. And I think for all of us, we do a lot of jobs and figure out what we don't like. And it's like a process of elimination. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. And after you do 30 or 40 jobs, you figure out, this is my preference. And I believe the same thing has to happen with dating, is if you can go out and date a lot of different people just to understand what you like and don't like, that when it comes to that choice of getting married and making that commitment, you do it on data. You do it on real world experiences. And that's one of the reasons why I see a lot of relationships fail today. It's just emotional maturity. They didn't know enough about themselves. Their partner could have been absolutely perfect, but for them, it was just the wrong one. That's what I see.
That is yes, because some of the other clients I work with are teenagers who are very head heels over girls or, dating and relationships, and they think they found the one. You're 16 and you found the one. Yes, he is the one. We're going to love each other. How long, their idea and experience of time is different. They've only been alive for 16 years, and high school is the longest time of their life. If I think back to high school, that's only 4 years of my entire lifespan versus 16, where it felt like a bigger chunk. So for them, 3 months of dating is like 3 years of a relationship. And it's no, that's not how it works. But they're feeling their emotions versus sitting with that rational side saying, I still need to figure this out. I still need to explore and figure out what I'm looking for in a partner. But they're so focusing on the emotion, the love feeling, the chemistry of just attraction and everything that side of them goes out the window. It's I always try to tell them, feelings pass, actions last. Your actions are going to stay with you. Your feelings are going to go away because feelings are temporary. They go up and down. But they get so hooked onto this feeling, then no matter what anyone says, it's no, you're wrong. But then they come back 3 weeks later and said, oh, what happened? Oh, we broke up. Really? The person that you said was your one and you're going to fall in love with and marry? Well, she didn't understand me. That's the problem. But that's not what you said 3 weeks ago. It's it's so interesting to see that. So I do agree.
I had some girlfriends when I was younger who were very extroverted. And when I first met them, that was a very attractive trait. I was like, oh, wow, you're so bubbly, you're so confident, you're so optimistic, you love to party, you're wild. But after dating that for a while, I was like, that's too much extroversion for me. Because for me, after work, I just want to go home and crawl up in a ball and read a book. But for my girlfriends, after work, they wanted to go and party. And they wanted to party till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, or 2 o'clock in the morning. And it was a conflict for me. And I'm not saying that there was anything wrong with them. They were perfect the way they are. It just wasn't a match for me.
Yeah.
But now I've been married for 14 years, been with my wife for 16 years. We're very compatible because at the end of the day, we don't want to go out. We don't want to party. We want to be boring. We want to read a book before bed. We want to take our dog for a walk. And we want to be in bed at 10 p.m. and we want to wake up at 6. But it took me many different girlfriends and very many different experiences to see and learn what I liked and what I didn't like. And I think we've all got to be clear that that's not a reflection on the other person. It's just a reflection on our taste. And that's that emotional maturity. And when we're young, it's easy to blame. Like I say to my wife, isn't it nice to blame? Isn't it nice to blame the market because the business hasn't succeeded? Isn't it nice to blame the government because the taxes they charge? It feels good to blame everybody else, but then you realize that there's nobody else to blame and the finger comes and points back towards you. But it's taste, it's learning. What do I like? What don't I like? And then being true to yourself. Not trying to people please. I'm a people pleaser. I want everybody to be happy. But you learn that that doesn't work all the time.
There's something you said about the finger points at you. And that kind of speaks to this idea of accountability. Oftentimes, when I see couples or even individuals, one of the biggest things I've noticed is difficulty with accountability. If I'm wrong, that's bad, and I can't be bad, so I must not be wrong ever. There's this belief in people that being wrong is a bad thing. But I always tell them, okay, so you have to be perfect, right? Aren't all things that are perfect dead? Like if they're perfect, why do they need to change and eventually it'll die out because Earth is a changing climate. Things are always adapting and changing. If you're perfect, you don't need to adapt. But then when you do, you won't be able to, so you'll die out. And that like stops them in their track because it's hard to be wrong. It's hard to understand that you're imperfect. And when you're in a relationship and you have this deep desire to be right and never be wrong, when your partner points out something that upsets them, it feels like you're being attacked. And that's the thing. It's your interpretation of it. Like people say direct communication is the best, like direct communication. Direct communication is the cornerstone of a relationship. I used to argue with that. It's like, no. But it's true. Being direct, being blunt, being honest, because you're saying what's really happening for you and that it's your perception and experience of your side of the relationship, it's valid. How they take it, that's on them because that's their own interpretation. What they hear is not what you say. It's often through a filter, through how they see you, their experiences, their understanding. That's where baggage comes in. Oh, like an example. I had a client whose his wife told him, "Hey, should we call someone to fix the refrigerator door on the fridge?" And he goes, "What? You think I can't do it? You see, I can't fix it? What are you trying to tell me? Like, I've been fixing things in this house." And I asked him, "Dude, what did she say to you?" She's like, "To call someone to fix the refrigerator door." No. That's what she said. What did she say to you? "I'm not good enough." Hey, is that the thing you've been feeling since you were a kid? Because your parents didn't make you feel good enough? Yeah, but it came out of you from your wife. But she never said you weren't good enough. But that is how your brain interprets the words. And that's the difficulty about communication and like conflict within couples is they're hearing two different things and then saying, this is hard for me. And I can't take accountability for this right now because it's this person's fault. Mm-hmm. Does that kind of make sense?
In NLP, there's a presupposition and we say the meaning of the communication is the response that you get. And what that means is that I have to be 100% responsible for what I say, and you have to be 100% responsible for what you process or what you interpret.
Yep.
Because what I say and what it means to you is very different. And I saw this, I see it all the time. I saw it last night. We took our dog down to the vet because it needs to have its vaccination. My dog is big. He's a golden retriever. He weighs 35 kilos. I take him walking every day. He has a big hearty meal every single day, and he's solid. He's solid. He's a thick dog. We take him to the vet. The vet gives him an injection, and the vet says to my wife, Murray's got a lot of fat or a lot of meat on his back legs. That's all he said, a lot of meat on the back legs. What my wife heard was, your dog's obese. You haven't been taking care of your dog. Your dog is fat. You're a bad dog mama. And so she came out of the vet. She said, he told me the dog was fat. And I said, Dr. Leo told you the dog was fat? You sure? And she said, well, he said he's got a lot of meat on his back legs. He's got a lot of meat. But what did you hear, wife? You heard that you're a bad dog mama. You don't take care of your dog. Your dog's obese. Is that what you heard? She said, yes, that's what I heard. I said, no, that's what you interpreted.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens in relationships all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I believe direct communication is important, is we've got to be very clear in the message that we send. And the message we send, we should put a lot of thought into it. We should think about, what are the words? What are the words that work for the other person?
Mm-hmm.
That's crucial. If I use words that are important to me, that doesn't mean those words are important for the other person. I've got to know my partner. What words work, what words don't. Secondly, especially for men, when men are communicating to women, they have to understand that women are more tonal. I think every man on this planet has heard from a mother figure, don't use that tone of voice with me. It's not what you said, it's how you said it. Women are tonal. Men have to learn to speak in a tone that doesn't trigger women. It's like Pavlov's dogs. Don't use a tone that triggers other people, or you'll get the stimulus response. The response will be, if you speak like that, there's no sex for you. Don't do that, men. Speak in the tone that says, yes, you're entitled to some sex. So you got to get the words right. You got to get the tone right. But then you've also got to focus on your physiology. What's the facial expression? What's the body language? Are you making direct or indirect eye contact? You got to consider these things when speaking to your partner. Because what do most people do these days? They speak to their partner whilst they're looking at their device. That's physiology. And if I'm looking at this device, the device is more important than my partner.
Eye contact.
Whatever your attention is on is the most important thing to you right now. And this is a major problem with all relationships. Couples who are attentive to one another, yes, they have challenges, yes, they have arguments, but their attention is on each other. But people who are focusing on things, like men who are always playing golf and spending time at the golf course, they're putting their attention on the golf, and they're saying the golf is more important than the wife, the girlfriend, the partner. So we're going to have communication. The words, the tone, and the physiology have to match. And that's key.
One thing I loved everything
And don't
you
tell
said.
and don't tell my wife my dog's fat.
That's a good thing to know. The funny thing is, everything you said is something that I agree with you. One thing I will add on to that with the tone piece is check what emotion you're really feeling. Thing is, men in society are often taught and Bill Burr said this, which is you're either okay or you're angry. But the thing is, anger is a protective emotion. it's a reactive emotion. It comes out because it's trying to protect you because you feel hurt or attacked. But ask yourself, what's the underlying emotion? So, an example, I have a cat. I love this cat. I will burn this world for my cat. He is really important to me. And he's also a troublesome cat. He likes to go outside a lot. And one time he went outside during a weekday and I had work the next day and I'm staying up worried about him. But I'm getting angry. Why does he always do this? He's always running out. And eventually he comes back in the morning, 6 a.m, all the time. And I look at him and go, where have you been? Have you understand how sick I've been worried about you? Why do you always do this? I come out with anger. But what's the underlying emotion? Worried. But what is he hearing? Worried or anger? And how is he going to take that? Because he can't read the underlying emotion. He's going to read what I'm saying, the tone, the aggressiveness, the why are you always doing this? The you. You got to check in with yourself before you go into a deeper discussion with things. Where are you emotionally? Remember, and you are right. What's the body language? The micro actions. What are they saying through their words? Everybody has a pattern, even in their body language. What your mind hides, your body betrays. You have to understand that when you're talking to somebody else, they want to feel validated in their emotional experience of the situation. You can leave an argument with the issue not resolved, but the emotions dealt with. But men are solution focused. They got to fix the problem now because emotions are uncomfortable and I don't want to feel this right now. No, you got to sit and feel. Some people just need time. No one's going to break up with you in the next hour. Chill. But that's the thing. Your anxiety, those emotions, those uncomfortability creates an emotional urgency. I got to act now. I got to fix this now. Sometimes you'll learn not everything has a solution. Sometimes you just got to wait it out because you can later fix the problem, but the emotions need time to resolve. That's something that people forget is emotions like anger is protective. There's different layers. Emotions get more complex. But people, men, especially what they've learned and the message we get in society is, nope, you can't feel shit. You can only feel anger or you're okay.
It's the similarity and the differences between how men shop and how women shop. Men go there for a result. Where am I going to park? How can I get in there and out in the shortest amount of time and get back to the next thing? It's results focused. Where women, shopping is a sensory experience. I want to walk in every single shop. I want to look at the underwear. I want to smell the candles. I want to go to the chemist. I want to pick up the things at the hair salon. I don't have to buy anything. I just want to go there and have a sensory experience. What's the vibe? What are the sounds? What can I look at? What can I talk about?
That's a good
and for women, it's a sensory experience. And I see this with my mum, my wife, my female friends. They can go to the shopping mall and not buy a thing and have the most incredible time because it wasn't about the result. Where men and women, they argue, just get in and get out. Do the same thing to my wife. I'll take you there, buy your stuff, and let's go.
Yes, I'm the same way. I hear you. I'm like, I'm just here to get what I need and get out. I'm here to do this. My sister, no, let's go to every shop and look around and feel what clothes. I'm like, I'm not, I know what I need and I want to leave. I don't want to stay in the mall, but they don't get that. It's like, no, it's supposed to be fun. Let's stay for 3 hours. 3 hours is insane to me. I can be in and out in 20 minutes. Like it doesn't, but that's how they work. I do see that. I do see the perspective of like that sensory piece.
Sensory experience. It's like men when they go to get a haircut. It's something on the to-do list. Okay, I've ticked the box, I'm out. But if you have a look at a woman's salon, it's totally different. You sit down, you have a dialogue, there's emotional expression.
It's a vibe.
You have conversations with other people, you're getting the hair done, you're having it washed. It's an event. It's an exciting event in the calendar. And it's probably booked well in advance where guys, it's like, oh, Friday, shit, I better get a haircut. And it's left to the last minute. And we've got to learn, but we've got to have attention. One of my mentors said, Life is the study of attention. And if you pay attention to your partner, but you got to be distraction free. If you pay attention to your partner, you'll be able to read the signs of what they like and what they dislike. My wife is very much of a dominating personality. She likes to be in control. She likes to be in charge. Now, that doesn't mean I'm less of a man at all. I'm a people pleaser. I want my wife to be happy. I want everybody to be happy. And so in the relationship, there's a lot of things that I just let my wife do because that's important to her. And then when there's bigger things that need my attention, I'll say, wife, you're a dominating personality. You want to make all the decisions. You want to be in charge. You don't want to feel like you're losing control. And I'll give that to you for 99% of the time. But right now, this is my decision to make. As the head of the house, I'll make this decision. And she wants to fight and argue, but in her logic left brain, she says, you know what? You are right. In my emotional brain, I want to fight you for it. But in my left brain, you're right. And so even knowing that about her, it enables us to have a better relationship.
Yeah.
And when she wants what she wants, I say, wife, you know I'm a people pleaser. You know I'm going to say yes just to keep you happy. Even if I disagree with you, wife, I'm going to say yes to keep you happy because I want to go to sleep tonight. I don't want to have an argument. I just want to keep you happy. So I'm going to say yes. But right now, I'm not going to be a people pleaser. You're used to me saying yes, but right now I'm going to say no. And because I know that about myself and herself, she, in her right brain, she says, yes, you should be saying yes to me. But the logic left brain says, well, you do make a good point. I'll give you that right now. And we can play with that.
You're holding
but you got to have attention.
It makes sense. You're holding a boundary. You're focusing and saying, hey, I'm cool with this, but this time I'm putting my foot down. And that you're telling her, hey, by me putting my foot, this is a boundary for me. This is where I'm going to, put my 2 cents in and say, no, I'm going to do this, or this is how I feel about it. Normally I'd be cool with things because this not everything is a hill I want to die on. But this one is important enough for me to put up my boundary. That's actually really healthy to have, is knowing when to put up the boundaries and not. That self-awareness of what are you okay with. You speak to this thing about, being like, my wife likes to be in charge, be in control, but that doesn't make me less of a man. There's this concept in like masculinity in men that I've noticed become more of a trend, especially with the teenage boys I work with. Is this concept of what does it mean to be a man? And it's interesting because humans are naturally tribal. They have a tribalistic mindset. Oftentimes we're taught there's different tribes, like demographics. You have your, male tribe, your white tribe, your gender identity tribe, like different tribes. But for me, the number one is your human tribe. So if you're human, you're a part of my tribe. But for a lot of people, they're like, nope, man comes before human. So what does that mean? They'll view anyone that's a man as, you're in my tribe, but if you're less than man, then you're less than human. And that never makes sense to me. When I worked with people in forensics mental health, with people that have racist backgrounds, who are affiliated with like racist groups, they hated me. They only focused on the issues and the problems, that the differences. So I sat with him and I said to him, okay, today we're just going to look at the similarities. Point out the things that we both share. Okay, starts the most simplest. Okay, okay, I don't know. We have 2 feet. Yeah. Okay, what else? We have eyebrows. Okay, keep going. And eventually we get more complex. We both have families. We both were born. We both are human creatures. Hey, now let's look at the differences. Oh, wait, that list is a lot smaller than what's similar, because you start to realize you're more human than before you're anything else. That's the first identity we hold. But for men, it's like, no, I need to be a man, and everything needs to meet that idea of what society tells me a man is. Why can't sensitivity be strength as well? I'm sensitive, but I will not take crap from anybody. I cry in my sessions with my clients, but I still will challenge you. And I worked with veterans and firefighters, and I'm willing to stand my ground. I challenge, but I also know when to take a step back and just let them feel. You can be both. You can hold those contradictions. But we are taught, especially men, no, this is how you're supposed to be. This is how you'll get women. But if that's not working, why do you keep going back to it? Like, it makes no sense.
One thing that I say to younger men is look at what's important for women. And I watch this with my wife. If a fast car drives down the street with a really loud exhaust system and it's a young guy driving like a fool, my wife's never turned her head and gone, oh my gosh, that's so attractive. I would love to have a man with a loud exhaust. I'd love to have a man flexing his car going down the street. Never seen it at all. She pays no attention to cars. But the biggest shock for young men, I think, is when you become an old man and you realize that when you do have a nice car, the only people who care are other men.
Yeah, that's true. It's like when you work out. Who's complimenting you? Other dudes. Hey, man, nice bicep. You're working out great.
Yeah. And they're thinking the whole time that women are going to look at this. If a big guy walks down the street, my wife will go, oh, he's big. But it means nothing else. She's not like going, oh, I want to follow that home. And the same thing that you said. Every big guy who's got on steroids or got on human growth hormones or taken testosterone, it's the guys that they attract. Now, if that was your goal, good. But if it wasn't, you got to get back to attention and you got to look at what's actually important. And I think with men, one thing that's worked in my favor over the years is I'm a good listener. And I might not have a lot to say. I don't know any cheesy pickup lines. I never have. But I'll tell you what, I could listen to the ladies talk and they could talk, and I would just smile and nod. And what I realized was that sometimes women just need somebody to listen to. But a man who's trying to flex and be an alpha and dominate, most women just turn up their nose because they don't want to listen to that. They want to be asked questions. Ask me a question about why I bought those shoes. Not about how much they cost, but why and what does it mean to you? You know, when you were putting on this dress today, you know, what was the impression that you wanted to make? That's important to most women. Most women don't want to talk about their careers. They want to talk about what's important to them, what their dreams and hopes and wishes and aspirations are. But you just got to pay a little bit of attention to realize that when you're trying to be macho, when you're trying to be a dominator, when you're trying to be the alpha, most women aren't attracted to that.
It's interesting, this concept of alphas, because like the concept comes from like a study on wolves, which was then discredited that that's not true. It's actually more there's no alpha in actual, there's multiple alphas. And I look at my like relationship history. I didn't have a relationship until I was 26. I mean, I'm an Indian male. Like, we have a certain stereotype, and I had difficulty finding dates. But I was so needy of it. Like, oh my God, I need a girlfriend. I need a girlfriend. I need to have sex. I know, oh my God, I need this. I need this. But after my last ex, I just like stopped caring about it so much. It's like, whatever, it doesn't matter because it's taking too much of my energy to like try to be something that doesn't even work. So I just engaged in my hobbies. I got really into like DIY projects. I got really into my work. I focused on what I felt I needed for myself, self-authoring myself to be successful. And also I worked in a field which is majority women, and learning how they think and work and understanding that they are attracted to people that give a crap about themselves. The ones that you pursue don't want you because you're pursuing them. It makes you look needy. When I'm working on myself and caring about what I think about, I'm driving a fast car because I like the fast car. I don't care about what anybody else says about the fast car. Even how I work as a therapist, I'm very casual. I'm very like, I know how I present myself, but I don't care. There's a level of confidence in that. And that's the attraction, is he cares about himself and doing whatever he wants to do, not that he's finding a girl because he's doing. If you're doing it for an external reason and not an internal reason, you'll never be successful. You want to be motivated to succeed, not because you'll get a girlfriend, because it's within yourself to do it for yourself. I worked with a client who considered himself an incel, and right now he's in a relationship. It's because we worked on this need to feel special, need to feel, oh, I need to be masculine and achieve a lot of great things. Okay, I asked him this question. You need to be with a 10 out of 10, right? Yes. So let's say the world, all the 10 out of 10s are gone. There's only average looking women. Can you still be exceptional? Can you still be worth it? Well, yeah. Then if you can still be worth it, why do you need a 10 out of 10 then? Make it make sense. That's because it's an external internal issue that they're trying to fix with an external solution. That's not how it works. What's in here needs to be fixed in here, not out there. A woman will now be your mom for you. She's her own person. She got her own issues. She don't need time for two issues. And that's hard for them to understand because that's the messaging they got growing up from dads, from male figures, from society, that men are this and women are this. No, women, like, think about this concept of like how a baby is born. Well, technically, why do men have nipples? Because, the development of the child, they're naturally formed as women until the Y chromosome gets activated, and then they turn into the male. So that means we all start out as women technically until the Y chromosome starts to say something. So aren't we all then still technically people at the end of the day? Aren't you more of a human before you're a man or a woman? So why do you need to care so much about being a man? That's not the identity that I care the most about. When I'm in therapy, when I'm in the room with someone, what do we share together and what is unique about you? But at the end of the day, you are human like me. I may not get your problems or your experiences, but I get the emotions because I've been through them. That's what I often say.
We share the same hormones. It's just to a different level that they're activated.
Exactly.
Women have testosterone, men have estrogen. It's similar. It's just at a different level. And the confidence piece that you were talking about, I think when we grow up, we watch so many movies, we watch so much TV, and we have this perception of confidence. Somebody loud walking into the room, taking charge, wearing a suit, driving this car, having this name on the building. And they think that's confidence. That's all external. It's the quiet confidence that's really attractive. And I think for men, as they mature and they start to understand who they are, they understand what their life's purpose is and the mission that they're on, when they're clear on their goals, they have quiet confidence. They're not trying to prove anything to anyone. They're rock solid in who they are. And when women meet men like that, it doesn't matter what the man looks like physically. It could look like he got hit with the ugly stick. But women aren't concerned about that. They're concerned about the man and his character. Quietly confident, knows who he is, stands up for what he believes in. That's attractive. And I think all men know that. When you meet a man who's trying to put on confidence, everybody knows it's bullshit. Everybody knows it's bullshit. But it's the quiet, confident person who doesn't say a lot. You look at them and go, this person's got it all together. And most men will eventually gravitate towards that. Yes, young men want to have photos with the ballers because they think they're going to get extra likes on social media. But who do you want mentorship from? You want the mentorship from the person who's done what you want to do.
And here's the thing, it's like I completely agree. It's like the quiet confidence piece. Like if you look at a lot of men want to be like billionaires, right? Everybody wants that higher status, hierarchy, rise to the top. When you look at billionaires and what they wear, they're wearing khakis and like flip-flops. They don't care. But the men that you see that promote themselves so much are always in business suits, smoking cigars, trying to create this I'm a boss mentality. But real successful people don't care about that stuff. That's just the image they're telling you to be, but real people don't live that image. I wear what I wear to work. It's my business. I am still professional and I still wear myself. I am who I am. I'm not going to change myself. I know my faults. I know my issues. I feel what I got to change. And I don't say, oh, this is who I am. Please like me. It's, this is what I offer. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, well, nice to meet you. The door's that way. Because at the end of the day, I know my value. And I will find the person that feels and gives me that value and sees that value. And I found her. I found my partner because I wasn't looking for her either. I wasn't so needy in getting a relationship. And I wasn't needy of, I need sex. I need to be like, I need to show that I'm an out. No, I came in and said, hey, this is who I am, how you are. I was myself. There was no anxiety about, oh, will she like me? Will she not? Because it doesn't matter. If she doesn't work, there's another girl. I will find somebody else. I'm also not trying to pick the top of the top and this and this. Hey, do we match? Do we align? Do we have same goals, same lifestyles? Do we vibe? Great. I like that because emotional bonds are stronger than a physical attraction. Age does change people, like, but the emotional bond only grows. So you got to ask yourself, is it really that worth it to look like that boss figure? Or do you really want to be successful? If you really want to be successful, then you're going to have to let go of this idea, this narrative you created for yourself, because that narrative is actually a prison. But you think it's the answer. It's not.
There was a movie years ago with Nicolas Cage, and it was called Lord of War.
I
And
love
he
that movie.
traded
Yes.
illegal weapons. And he had to lie at the start of his relationship.
Yeah.
To get the woman that he wanted, he had to lie. But then his whole life was a lie. There was nothing honest about his life. And he had to cover everything up that he did. And if you can't be yourself, that's probably the wrong person for you.
Yep.
You want to be able to be yourself, because if you start with a lie, you've got to continue that lie or that persona forever. But eventually, under pressure, you're going to slip. But that whole time, you'll feel like a fraud. You'll feel like an imposter.
Yeah.
You'll have to keep that act up, like his act. It was the act of money and success and wealth. And he was going broke to hold it all up. And then as soon as it was discovered, it all ended.
And
But
that's like the biggest thing. It's this lie that you're telling yourself and you're trying to filter other people. Yeah, it's like it's never, it's eventually gonna come off. You can't keep the lie forever. You can keep trying to give more lies, but you're just creating a bigger structure that's gonna fall.
And in a relationship, the idea is to let the person get close to you. But if its foundations are lies, you've always got to keep that person at arm's distance. That's not healthy for a relationship. People like Tony Robbins, I learned something really interesting from him. He said one of the first things at a neurological level with partners is that a partner who starts to disconnect emotionally, they start to breathe out of sync. So what it means is that people who are in rapport, people who are in a healthy relationship, their nervous systems align with one another. You're breathing in, your partner's breathing in. You're exhaling, they're exhaling. And two essentially become one at the nervous system level, because the nervous system has aligned itself. We call it entrainment. But for couples who are out of rapport, who have lost rapport, who aren't in agreement, they will breathe out of sync. One will be breathing in, one will be breathing out, and there's no synchronicity with them. And you can see this visibly with people. But you've got to have rapport. You've got to be in alignment. You don't have to agree on everything, but you've got to be aligned.
This brings up this idea that I've noticed within my like couples, this concept of how they define a relationship. A lot of people, because we live in a capitalistic society, they see everything as transactional. If I do this, then I'm supposed to get this, when here's the thing I tell people, like I'm working with this client, he's like, TJ, I made her dinner, but she didn't care. Like she didn't like show me appreciation. Yeah, because you cheated on her multiple times and now you're trying to make up for it. You think you're gonna get appreciated? No, you gotta earn it. You gotta earn appreciation now because relationships aren't transactional for every little thing. You can't put finances into a human relationship. You have to understand that like reciprocity, sometimes you do things like make a nice dinner for your partner because you want to, not because you're expecting something out of it, because then you're creating expectations and you don't know if they're in the mood or they don't want to do that thing. But because you have this expectation, you're expecting it and then you get upset or disappointed when it doesn't happen. How is that fair?
Did you say expectation or sexpectation?
Saying, well, often sometimes both.
That's what a lot of men do, don't they? I'll wash the car if I get laid.
Yep.
I'll make the dinner and I'll wash the dishes and I'll fold the clothes, but I want sex.
And that's like the crazy thing. It's like you're setting yourself for failure by doing that. When I just do nice things because I like to do nice things, like today, best example. I messed up. My partner really wanted me to get tickets for this show that she wants us to go to. And she's been bugging me about it like consistently. Hey, don't forget to get the tickets. It's 8:50. Don't forget to. I'm like, yeah, I'll get the tickets. Yes, I'll get the tickets. Well, I woke up, I went straight to work. I forgot to get the tickets. And then she calls me at lunch, goes, did you get the tickets? Crap. I'm so sorry. I messed up. God. She's like, okay, it's fine. I got like tickets on Friday. You're okay. I mean, if you didn't, I would have been more pissed if you didn't have any tickets. But then what I did is I got a DIY like rose, like a wooden rose you can make. So I spent my lunchtime making the rose. Did I expect anything in return? No. Did I expect her to appreciate me and say, "Oh, this is so amazing. I forgive you." No. I did it because for me it was important to show her, "Hey, I am sorry. Here's my recognizing what I did is wrong. How important this thing was for you and I didn't treat it as important. So here's me sacrificing some of my day to make you something to say, I recognize I messed up." And you know what happened? And it was a great night. Let's just say that. Because I didn't do it for anything. I didn't expect anything. If it happened, great. If it didn't happen, no problem. Because I did it because I love her and I want to show her, hey, I recognize where I was thinking only about myself. When she comes to me and points out things that I'm doing, I actually kind of thank her, not in like, oh, thank you for like telling me I'm horrible. No, it's I didn't realize I do that. I have an ego. I know that about myself. When it comes to being a therapist, I have a very defensive ego. So if she points out something that I'm doing as a therapist, it comes out in defense, but my body stays very calm. It's my words that are emotionally coded. And I didn't realize I did that. I thought I was always calm in an argument. No, you're a jerk. You are straight up mean. You just throw daggers at me. I do that? What? Then I sat and thought about it. Crap, that makes sense. I do that. Now I have self awareness. And that self awareness will lead me to choosing different actions in the future. But she didn't say it to attack me or call me a jerk. She said it to show me a different perspective that I don't have because humans are biased towards themselves. If I want to do something, no one in this world can make me change my mind because I want to do it. But if I tell myself, that's a little different. We have to be okay in a relationship and say, I am wrong. And that's okay. Thank you for helping me update the information I now have. I love being wrong because that's how I grow and learn as a human. You got to fail to succeed.
I think a lot of people forget about their own biases. Our nose is an inch above our mouth and we can't smell our own bad breath, but somebody 3 foot away can smell it.
Yes.
And it's hard to reflect on yourself. You know, it's my mouth. I'm breathing in and out hundreds of times, thousands of times every day. I'm the last to notice it. And there's a bias there. I'm not paying attention to it. But those subtle things, when your partners do point it out to you, it's a great area for feedback. And in NLP, what we say, there is no failure. There's only feedback.
Mhm.
And not all feedback is equal. Not everybody knows how to deliver feedback.
Yes.
But if you have the emotional intelligence to realize that this is feedback about my behavior and my partner's telling me about it because if I corrected it, I might get laid tonight. But what you're doing right now is pissing me off and I'm not going to take the pants off.
Mhm.
But if you can just be sensitive and say, oh, something that I'm doing is having a negative impact on my partner, there's an opportunity to correct it. And it's in that course correction that the relationship strengthens and it grows because the other person says, oh, if you're willing to make that change, I must be important to you.
Yes. Very
But
true.
if you're not willing to change it, maybe I'm not as important as I thought I was.
And that's
Doesn't
what
mean
they
you're a bad, yeah, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. Like you're talking about your traits. In the science of DISC, I'm a very high D. I want a result. I care about a result. I'm also very low in steadiness and I'm always discontented. I'm never happy. Nothing's ever good enough for me. But what I say to my wife and my children, this is me. You got to remember, Dad's an Australian champion athlete. He's competed at the extreme games, 3-time state champion. When you're a competitive athlete, you don't care about the journey. All you care about is the result. And you could be the third or the second best in the world, in the country, and in the state. But to most athletes, that doesn't matter. They're never happy until they're number one. And even when they're number one, they're still not happy because they haven't done it multiple times. But if you can understand that, and then when you express yourself to other people and say, right now I'm angry, I'm feeling angry,
Mhm.
but I'm not saying that you made me angry. I'm frustrated because I want this result and I didn't get it.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's about you. This is me. I'm discontent. I'm not satisfied in the relationship. You might be, but I've got a different expectation. But as long as we can communicate that and the other person realize that you're accepting responsibility for how you think, feel, and act, for them, it's bliss. They're like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. It's not about me.
Mhm.
Well, what can we do about it? What can I do more of?
Mhm.
What can I do less of? What can I stop doing? Or what can I even start to do to make it a better relationship?
And
But
the first thing I tell people is it starts with understanding vulnerability.
yes. And I think the other thing that's even more important than that, we can't be our own dentist. A dentist can't inject themselves with a needle. They can't get the plaque out. They can't extract a tooth. You need to have an expert. And the expert is somebody like yourself to guide them together to the goal. But you've got to ask for help, just like going to the dentist. Going to the dentist is not a sign of weakness. Going to the dentist means you want good oral hygiene. Finding a therapist means you want to have a fucking epic relationship.
Yeah.
That's what it means. Doesn't mean you're in a bad relationship. It means you want the best possible relationship for you. And I think that's important. TJ, I know there's...
Oh, this is my last thing I want to say is I very much agree with you. One of the biggest issues I've seen is when men come to therapy, and I asked them what brought them to therapy. My wife told me I needed therapy. You got to be willing to ask for support yourself. It's not a bad thing to ask for support. That's how you learn what you don't understand and what's going on for you. There are professionals who will vibe with you, who will understand that male experience of what's going on. You just have to be willing to give it a go, even just once.
You go to the bank and ask to borrow money. That's not a sign of weakness. Investors, billionaires, always borrow money. They use other people's money. You go to the gas station, you get gas. That's not a sign of weakness that you can't extract your own oil, that you can't frack your own gas. You go to McDonald's because you want somebody to cook for you. It doesn't mean you can't cook. It's just convenience. Because if I can borrow money from the bank today, that's faster than trying to accumulate it for the next 40 or 50 years. If I want gas for my car, I'm better off to go to the gas station and use that service. And counseling and therapy is just a service. It gets you where you want to be a lot faster. And I encourage people, if they want to have a better relationship, reach out to TJ. So, TJ, where can people learn more about you? What's the best place to start the journey?
So feel free to reach me out at my website is supportspiritcounseling.com. You can reach me out at my email at admin at support, SUPPORT, spirit, SPIRIT, counseling.com. I do depth psychology work. So it's a lot more trauma, lots more deeper dives into like existential philosophy, like why are you here? What's causing that harm? What's the core root that your unconscious is really trying to tell you, but you're not seeing for yourself? We build self-awareness, we build skills, we figure out how do you live an authentic experience? How do you let go of the ego and start to be yourself?
TJ, thanks for joining me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.